Hey, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to throw out a part 2 in a multi-part video series that I'm putting out on shipping container shops. Today's video is going to focus specifically on shop layout and how you can avoid some of the problems when working in a Stihl box and setting it up to work for you as a shop instead of against you. There's multiple different things that I ran into in the course of setting up my shop, and I'm going to give you some things to think about in terms of how your shop, like I said, can work for you in terms of configuration and some things that you probably need to consider. So let's get to it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, let's kick this thing off by talking about shop layout at the front of your shipping container. Obviously, you can see the doors are open, and with the doors open, you're exposed to the elements. So anything that's going on outside is now going on inside. So take that into consideration when you're setting up your work area. Obviously, you don't want to set yourself up so that you're working out in the elements, and any tools or equipment that you have, you don't want them out in the elements as well. So again, the first 2.5 feet here, just take that into consideration. Let's move inside, and I'll run you through what I've got and how I've got my shop set up, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of shop layout. Man, I've got a lot of stuff crammed into this little shop. So obviously we're working in a Stihl box, and with a Stihl box comes limitations. So a lot of people solve the limitations of working in a Stihl box by utilizing stick frame construction. And I think that's the number one thing that you need to decide for yourself is, are you going to utilize stick frame construction in your shop? There are some advantages to using stick frame construction. Obviously, it provides an insulator in the winter and the summer months. If you plan on running lighting and power out here, it allows you to pull wire like you typically would in a stick frame shop, and conceal wire using USB and plywood. So the disadvantages to using stick frame construction, obviously you lose square footage. And for me, that's why stick frame construction was a hard no for me. Like I said, I've got a lot crammed into this tiny little shop. The real estate's at a premium, and I could not afford to give up 1 square inch. So that's the number one thing that you need to decide for yourself is, are you going to try and set up your shop so that you're able to stomach the elements a little bit better in terms of insulation? How are you going to go about your lighting and power solutions? And overall look, and are you wanting it to look more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, or do you want to set it up more like I've got it set up, like the machine shop type look? So again, that's the number one thing you need to decide for yourself right out of the gate. Once you've got that figured out and you've got that completed, if you're going to do stick frame construction, the next thing I think you need to decide on is storage. Do you need storage? If you do, how much storage do you need? I've got a couple chainsaws, as you can clearly see. Just a couple. No more. Don't tell my wife. But anyway, obviously I needed a lot of storage, and that changed my initial thoughts on my workbenches and how I was going to lay them out in here. And I'm sure it's going to do the same for you. So be honest with yourself in terms of how much storage you need. Right out of the gate, you do not want to start setting things up to have to tear everything apart and redo it because you didn't factor in enough storage for yourself. If you do need storage, I highly recommend these commercial grade storage rack units. I picked these up dirt cheap on Craigslist. If you're patient, you can probably find some good deals out there for yourself. And if it's within your budget and you need them right away, run down to Home Depot. I think they carry some of these commercial grade storage units, but these are gonna just make life a lot easier for you. Don't try and stack boxes floor to ceiling in here, or containers floor to ceiling in here. It's just going to be a lot more problems than it's worth. Trust me. Been there, done that. Not fun. So money well spent on these commercial grade storage rack units. In that same vein, I knew that I was going to need some vertical storage. Maybe that's not something that you're going to need, but if it is, factor that into your layout. I did not want to be tripping over any of the things that I was going to be storing in here vertically, so I needed to create some space. It was pretty simple for me. I just didn't return this storage rack all the way over. Created a little area here. Problem solved. Out of the way, and I don't have to worry about it. So if that's something that if that's a problem you need to solve, think about that. Think about that, because you just don't want things propped up against the side of the container and falling over on you and tripping over them and that kind of thing. So let's spin around and start talking about work area and just work in general. This is where I needed to be real honest with myself, and I think you do too. What kind of work do you want to get done out in your shipping container shop? Prioritize, I would say, the top 2, top 3, whatever it is for you. And if it's not something that you do on a regular basis, don't plan for it out here. There's limited area. For me personally, there's a lot of things I originally thought I could get done out here that just didn't make the cut. A lot of tools I wanted to bring out here that didn't make the cut. Just don't have room. So when I started thinking about long and hard about the type of work I do, which is fabrication and working on small engines, chainsaws, that type of thing, I knew I needed to get all my workbenches out here. And so for me, that just entailed workbenches going all the way down this side. And I've got a lot of workspace. I've got a vise down on this end, another workbench with a vise, and then my third workbench down here where my benchtop drill press resides. So put some thought into that. Again, like I said earlier in the video, you don't want to start setting things up in here to have to tear everything down and redo it, especially in the heat of the summer or the cold of the winter. So be honest with yourself, and like I did, and some of the things you just may not be able to put in here, like I said. So anyway, that's shop layout. There's not a whole lot to it because we're working in a steel box, like I said, but those are some things that I had to put some serious thought into, and I just thought I would pass that along to you if you're looking to set up your shop, and maybe it speeds things up for you. Gave you some things to think about. My next video is going to talk about storage solutions in here, and it's going to be a real interesting video, so look for that. But it involves some cable systems, it involves magnets, it involves some wood construction, yeah. And I'm a little excited about that video because I'm not used to working inside a shipping container box, and because of that, I had to get the creative juices flowing, and it was just kind of a fun little project to solve those problems. So like I said, look for that video. But at the end of the day, I really appreciate you stopping by, checking out the video. I will catch you on the next one.